In today's video, we're going to be checking out probably the most talked about and disruptive company in the 3D printing space, which is the Bambu Lab, as they set a new standard for fast printing with their X1 carbon. And today we're going to be looking at the P1P, which is like a stripped down version of the X1. So in this video, we're going to be unboxing it, setting it up, and doing some prints. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's get started. Alright, so the P1P comes in this box. It's not too large. And on one of the sides, we got a big fragile sticker. There's actually handles here. And not too much information except for 15 kilograms, or it's over 15. So about 32 pounds or so. Let's go ahead and open it up and check out what we got inside. So right off the bat, we got a QR code we can scan to watch an unbox tutorial. And on each side of the flaps here, we got a little picture saying that we need to pull the whole printer out with these flaps here. So just rip it off the box on both sides, and then that's how we're gonna pull it out. So I think what I'm gonna do, as I am on the table, is I'm just gonna flip it around and dump it out. So let's just do that. And up we go. And check out how neatly everything is packed. So we got bubble wrapping all around. I think I need to go ahead and flip it around again, as everything kind of falls apart. But yeah, quite impressive with so much bubble wrap. And that is a great thing, because during shipping, it'll be very well protected. All right. Well, we can kind of see the printer inside here. Still have a plastic bag. Okay, so it is taped here on top. There we go. Wow, super interesting. It looks so bare bones, kind of. Let's go ahead and get this plastic out. So on top, we have a cardboard, the quick start guide taped to it. Looks like a pretty nice little manual. Shows us everything about the printer, all the parts that are included. And we do have to assemble a few things, but it's nothing major. And then connecting it wirelessly and using the printer. So yeah, very nice little quick manual that goes through everything. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and continue unpacking it. There's a pretty large box inside. And it looks like it's gonna come out the top there. It looks like we got quite a few things in there. So let's go ahead and take the rest of the stuff out. We even got a huge silica pack for moisture. So let's move this to the side and let's go ahead and open this box. And check it out, guys, very neatly organized here. So right off the bat, we get a full spool of PLA in white, and definitely cool that it's a full spool and it's Bambu Lab branded. So here we have our control display navigation module, and we'll have to install this. We got our power cord, and this is the US type. We got a PTFE tubing, couple Allen wrenches, and also a clean out needle. And just sitting in there, we have this extra hot end heat break. Looks like the nozzle in it. Very interesting design, and definitely looks quite unique to the Bambu Lab. And it says here it's a 0.4 nozzle. So yeah, very cool. Looks like if you did want to change the nozzle, you'd have to change this piece here. It's not something that you can just unscrew, looks like. So yeah, very interesting. And we also get a little safety guideline in here. So that's pretty much everything except for another box, which is got some good weight to it, and it looks like has quite a bit of things in there. So we got the PTFE tubing anchor, kind of little roller brackets, and we'll have to see what these are for. This one here, it says for the hot end, some kind of clip and 2 bolts. So here we have the spool holder, pretty nice looking piece, all metal. Baggie for the spool holder, some bolts for a DIY shell, so you can't print out your own coverings here, and they give you some bolts to put those on. Here's a little bag that says for scraper DIY, so I guess you can probably print out something and use the razor blades there or whatever's in there as the scraper and put it together, so it's kind of like a little kit. Here we also have some kind of kit for a printed phone holder, and the last baggie here says for extruder. So yeah, quite a few little baggies. And then we also get some lubricant grease and thermal grease. And the last piece here says this side down. Well, maybe I gotta open it here. Okay, here it says package contains liquid glue. So very interesting. Oh, okay. So it's something you use kind of like a glue stick to put on the build plate so your models can stick better. Okay, and it's like a fabric-y swab that you roll it on. Yeah, very cool. And that does appear to be everything. So for the next part, I'm going to clean up here a bit and we'll start putting the P1P together. All right, so the first thing we need to do is cut the zip tie there, take the cardboard off, and also pull out some foam back here. So let's go ahead and cut the zip tie. There's actually a couple of them here. So now we can move the hot end. There we go. Pull out the cardboard. And now it's free. So there's a sticker here. I'm going to go ahead and peel that. Very nice. So back here we have like this chute that goes to the back side, and we're going to look at the details here in a bit, but we need to pull out the foam inside. It's as simple as that. So for step 1, we're going to be installing the spool holder in the back. So step 1 and 2. So let's go ahead and flip around. And now we're looking at the back, and over here there's actually a little sticker that says spool holder assembly. So we got to take out this one bolt. Let's grab the Allen wrench, and it's the larger of the two. And we're going to unscrew this bolt here like it shows in the manual. We're going to grab our 4 spool holder baggie, which includes 2 little bolts, and that's going to replace this one that we just took out. So we're going to grab the spool holder and put the bolt in it and then tighten it to the back here. So yeah, I love the indicators here that show you exactly where everything goes. Very nice attention to detail. And on the spool holder itself, there is wording that says top, and it's the smooth part. Yeah, pretty logical, but just in case. All right, so that's on, nice and tight. So for step 3, we're gonna be putting in the PTFE tubing anchor, and it kind of shows us how the PTF tubing goes on number 4. So this is the baggie here, and it's gonna mount right here above the spool holder. To the very top, there's a couple little holes, and with the PTFE tubing going down, it's gonna mount just like this. And the 2 bolts are the same. So one of them is going to kind of hold it still, and the other one, you guys can see it has an adjustment. Maybe be a little easier to see sideways. So this is made not to be all the way tight, meaning is it not compressed into the part, so it can move around if it needs to, depending on how big the spool is and if it needs to be at more of an angle or not. So let's go ahead and connect our PTFE tubing, which is up here, and we're simply just going to plug this into the coupler, and that should grab it. So this is where we're going to feed the filament in, and then it's going to go into the hot end, which if we tilt the printer here, hopefully you guys can see that on the hot end, this is where the other side goes. So it just inserts in there and it kind of grabs it. So that is our spool holder and the PTFE guide here. So for the next part, we're going to be flipping back around to the front. And if we go down on the next part, we're going to see we need to unscrew or remove 2 little bolts or screws that hold the bed down. And this is during shipping. And there's actually 2 little, maybe you guys can see, little flags here or arrows that point to the bolts that we need to take out. 1 on each side. So this one's out. And there we have the other one. All right. So the next part is installing the screen. So we're going to plug it in, and then we're going to tuck the cable correctly behind it and then clip it on. And so the screen here goes on the front left side. And here we have the plug taped down. So So let's grab our little screen. We can see that's where it plugs in right there. And the cable kind of has to tuck in into this area there. So let's go ahead and plug it in. Might be a little tricky, but it's not bad. As you can get to it and make sure it clicks in there really good. So make sure you got your screen the right side up, which the controls go towards the center. And then kind of feed the cable here in a wavy, snaky pattern. And then all these holes should line up with the tabs here, and it should go in. And so once you get it in there, you slide it that way to the left. Well, actually, we need to remove this little sticker here first. So we just slide it to lock it. Simple as that. And on top, we actually had a little SD card here that we need to remove that little protector layer on top. So far so good and quite straightforward. And actually guys, that is the last step as far as the installation goes. So for next part, they want us to download the app on our phone to connect to the printer, and then it goes into printing our first print. So yeah, quite simple here on the getting started guide. But before we do anything else, I'm going to clean up here a bit and we'll take a closer look at the printer in more detail. All right guys, so the P1P looks quite unique here sitting on the table. It looks quite raw and kind of like an unfinished look, like somewhat of an industrial kind. And as you guys can see, we don't have any kind of enclosure. It's all completely open. And so this is the frame of the older brother X1 Carbon. And it's kind of shed all of its panels and it's not enclosed. Now the great part is you can't enclose it by buying the enclosure or printing out your own or even doing some DIY stuff. But this is the way the P1P comes, and this is where you will be saving some of your money. So let's start from up here on the top. First thing to note here is that this is a CoreXY configuration. So we have two motors there in the back that control the X and the Y. Another thing to note is we have carbon rods on the X and normal steel rod, single on each side, for the Y axis. I like how everything's blacked out as it all kind of blends in and doesn't really show itself too much. But yeah, everything you guys can see is organized very well. The wires and everything's well thought through. There's like this little protective corner here for this wire, and a lot of it's metal like this upper portion is, and then we got some plastics mixed with metals, so it's a combination of both. But yeah, very well built. Not too much going on here on this side. And going to this other corner here, we can see there is some kind of module here that says USB output. So you actually do have power here on the front of it behind the panel right here. So what's great on the latest P1P printers is that you do get a camera pre-installed and also the light bar. So I've heard that the first ones didn't come with this, but their latest ones are already upgraded to these two extra accessories that come standard with the P1P. So let's look at the hot end assembly, as this is going to be a very interesting piece here. So you guys can see on the top, this is where our power wire comes, and it's quite thin. Very interesting. I wonder what kind of signal and power and voltages that are being used that it could be so thin. But yeah, that's pretty cool that it is. We got the typical PTFE tubing, and this is where we inserted it. Right there, so it just kind of clicks in there. So we got some openings here for venting. I love this gray color. The back is quite clean. We just got some venting down here. On the other side, we have a lever here that you can push, and this actually cuts the filament, or like a cutter. You can see a little yellow gear there, looks nice. As we go down, we can see this Bambu Lab. So this is a parts cooling duct, and you guys can see our nozzle there. It actually has a silicone sock around the heat block, and it is cooled from both sides. So it looks pretty nice, and yeah, I'm not sure if you guys can see too much there, but yeah, and going up, we can see there's the blower fan for the parts cooling. And what's cool is this whole part, the front piece, pops off pretty easily as it is magnetic, and we can see a little better the blower there for the parts cooling. And our whole hot end extruder assembly here. So we got the tip there with the heat block, and then the heat break, a little parts cooling fan right there. Then we got our extruder mechanism, and that's where we inserted our PTFE tubing. And then here we can see this junction board there, some ribbon cables plugged in. And in the back there, we got our motor and gears and things like that. So yeah, very nicely built. Great attention to detail. Pretty cool how easily this comes off just being magnetic. Super cool. So yeah, so far so good. Now going to the very back, you guys can see we have the chute here, and the chute goes up and comes out the back over here. You can actually see my hand there. And so this is for cleaning the nozzle, looks like, and purging, because this piece here, which we have extra of these included, we go here, you guys can see it kind of wipes on it, which is super cool. So that's kind of neat that they have this little chute here with the nozzle wiper. So this area here is going to be where the electronics are. They're kind of more down here, looks like. And on this side is our power supply. So there is a piece of tape here. Let's take this off. And the door here looks like pops off. Let's see. All right, so there's actually nothing in there. It's empty. I guess we'll put this back. This must be for some accessory or who knows what. So here in the middle, we can see our lead screw that goes all the way down, and it is connected to the bed here. So we can't really see too much because we still have foam. And this is one of the lead screws because there are two more here up front. They are all synchronized with the belt underneath. So that's quite unique. I've seen two, one obviously, but this has three, which is great because it'll keep the build plate very stable as it goes up and down. So let's go back up here. So on the very top by the screen, we have our SIMS card that plugs in there, and it's a micro and it's unbranded, just clean card. It's not the easiest thing to access, but this printer is made more to use it through your phone or computer wirelessly. So we got a little nice cover over the frame. The branding here, Bambu Lab P1P, very nice. And then we got our screen that we installed. Let's go ahead and peel the protector. So this looks pretty generic compared to what we're used to lately. So it looks like we have navigation here with OK, pause, and back. But this is one of the downgrades from the X1 Carbon, is that you'll get this screen instead of the big touch screen. So depending on, if you care about that too much, it might be worth it for you to upgrade. But if you're on a budget and you still want the X1 Carbon printing prowess, the P1P here offers it for a lower cost. All right, so going down to the bed, the build volume is actually a square, which is 256 by 256 and 256 tall, which is pretty cool that it's a cube. And I loved how large it is compared to the size of the printer. So it's very efficient on the size and the print volume that you get. Another cool thing that I don't know if I mentioned, but we looked at the lead screws, but we do have the rods also for each of the three corners here, including one there inside next to the lead screw. So yeah, quite a unique way of operating this bed up and down. So as far as the build plate material, it's like a textured, almost looks like a PC type finish, and it is a flexible sheet. Same on both sides, which is very useful and pretty thin and flexes really easily. You can see the magnetic mat. So we can't really see underneath as it's still down, but it is a heated bed that can do 100°C temperatures for the hotter printing. And also I did mention that the nozzle goes all the way to 300. So yeah, it gives you versatility to print quite a few different types of filaments. So not too much going down here, just this plastic kind of base. We do have 4 rubber feet. Flipping it around, looking at the back, we can kind of see all of the mechanisms here towards the top of the CoreXY. And actually guys, you can see there's this auto tensioner there with a spring. Very interesting. Yeah, I can kind of see it moving as I pull on the belt. Very cool. So it seems to be very, very well engineered, every little aspect of it. This is where we installed the spool holder. We can see it says top here. So we have a little plug here for something. Not sure exactly what that's for. There's our chute here. Some venting. We can kind of see the electronics inside. And going down here, we got the manufacturing label and our power input port. It is fused with an on and off switch. All right, guys. So I got a little curious about what's behind the panel here. So I went ahead and took out the little bolts all around. So let's go ahead and see what's back there. Yeah, the chute does come out with it, and it is a steel back panel. But yeah, this is what we see. So most of this area here is empty. There's our stepper motor there for the Z-axis that runs that belt underneath. And then our power plug here. We are grounded. Very nice. And going to the other side, here we have the power supply. And actually, it's much smaller than I thought it would be. It seems quite small. I don't know if you guys can see or not, but that's the branding there. And it does say 24 volt, 4.5 amps. So yeah, that's quite interesting. And if we go up, we can see here what appears to be some sort of a junction board or something like that. Not too sure if I would say that this is the main board because it doesn't seem that large, but another small one up here. And actually guys, I think maybe this is for the AMS, which is the multi-color or multi-material system that plugs into here. But yeah. And there's more things behind here too. So yeah, definitely kind of interesting. And everything looks like it's kind of really tightly engineered and uniquely assembled. All right, well, hopefully that was a little interesting. I'm going to put the plate back on. So let's go ahead and flip this thing on the side. And maybe we can see something interesting here. And yeah, it's pretty hollow under here, which I did not expect. Kind of cool. So we can see 3 pulleys. And then our belt, and that's connecting the 3 lead screws between each other. And then we have a stepper motor right here that drives it all. And it comes here from this panel here behind, right next to the power here. So, and we do have really nice, actually pretty squishy rubber feet. So yeah, pretty interesting looking printer. I'm pretty excited to plug it in and power it up, and we'll see what the P1P here is all about. So let's go ahead and plug the cord in, and it looks like about 4 feet long. I plugged it in. Let's hit the power button. And it looks like the screen came to life. So I'm not too sure if you guys are going to be able to read that out. So the first thing it says here is before use, make sure you read the user manual. So we did that. Let's click next. So now it's asking us to make sure that we remove the 2 bolts from the bed, which we did. Well, actually guys, I just noticed that there's another bolt right here. So there's actually 3 of them. Wow. So make sure you don't forget that one in the back. And there is a little red flag back there. Even though I looked at it, I didn't click that there was a bolt there. All right, so we're gonna click next. Now it's asking us to select our region, which we'll click on North America. And here it's asking us to scan this QR code to, I guess, make an account or maybe get the app. We'll actually select setup later. We'll click on that. Now we agree to the terms and conditions, and you can read all about them by scanning that QR code. Agree to that. Here you can join to help improve everyone's experience. So I guess they will collect information about the printer, so you can join or skip. I'm going to skip this part. And now it's going to do a self check. I'll do a run through everything and make sure everything's working. So let's click on start. Of course, we haven't took our foam out yet. I wonder if we can do that. Oh, there we go. Well, I guess we can take it out now. All right, so it's moving the bed up and down. Okay, so for some reason we got test failed here. So that's kind of interesting. It does say we can retest. Maybe me pulling out the foam messed up the test. But once it stops, I'm gonna click on retest. It's interesting, it's continuing doing something though, even though it says failed on the screen. Okay, so it looks like it's doing input shaping now. And it's getting really loud. All right, now it's moving to the back. And I'm guessing it's done, so I'm just gonna click retest here. Even if it does everything again, I don't mind. I think that foam had something to do with the fail, so. All right, so now it says that it is complete and everything is good. Enjoy your printing. All right, we'll click on finish here. And this is our main menu. All right, so looking at it up close here, we can see that it actually looks pretty nice. So it is in this kind of mono color between light and dark. I do like the overall aesthetic, it looks nice. Here we have the control panel. So on the very left side, looks like we're on home, and then we can choose to go between these. So I guess this is printing settings, account, connections, SD card, and then files on the very bottom, which is what you can print. So in home, we got the nozzle temperature there, the bed temperature, the speed, and it says ready to print. And then we have camera, play and stop. So if we click over this way, you can see we are on play right now. Stop, and actually that's all we can choose, looks like. So yeah, it'll definitely be a little bit of getting used to here, as everything navigation related is on this pad. And actually guys, you can also click OK right on where you're at, and that'll go to the options that you have. So the only 2 options we have here are these. So if we go back. So going down to the next one here, we'll push OK. And so our first choice here is the nozzle. And if we click on that, it's going to let us preheat it. Does it have a preset? No. Do I have to manually do it? Wow. So if you click up, it goes by tens. This way it goes by 1. Very interesting. I guess not a big deal. If you just hold it, it goes pretty quick. So let's say 200 and we'll click OK, and it starts preheating, and we actually can hear a fan turned on in the background there. So let's go back, and now we can see it's kind of flashing. So now we can select, let's go to the bed, and we'll preheat this to 60. Click OK, and it's gonna execute that. Oops. All right, so we gotta click back first and now go down. This is our speed settings. It looks like we have a few to choose from here. I'm not sure how to get there. Or what am I doing here? But yeah, if we click on this rocket thing, you can see we have ludicrous, sport, standard, and silent. So I'm guessing it would be easier to control all this from, let's say, your phone or something. But yeah, let's go back. Down here we have feeding, so this is going to be load and unload the filament. And then if we keep going down, there's more. We got the fan on, off, and also the light. So let's try that on. So here we have two options, off and on. So we're gonna click on, and there it goes. The light actually came on. I don't know if you guys can see, it's right here. Pretty cool. All right, so that is our main options here on the left, and on the right here we have what looks like extruder. Okay, so this is actually moving the extruder manually. Then we have the bed moving. So we can just go down a little bit. You guys can maybe kind of see it in the background moving up and down. And then we can move X and Y and also home it. So X and Y is going to be these and home is going to be the middle. So if I move to the front and back, that moves the whole hot end in the XY position, and then home will home everything. So pretty straightforward. Just definitely need to get used to the controls. Just gotta get used to clicking the right buttons to go in and out of the menus. So the next one down here we have the account, which we're not logged in, and we'll do that in a bit, guys. Our connection to the Wi-Fi, the SD card, the size of it and what's available, the printer's name, firmware, calibration, out of sleep, 15 minutes. So I guess it can put itself to sleep, and you can choose from the different times here or never. We'll leave it at 15. You can also factory reset it, and our serial number here. So since we have everything preheated, let's go ahead and load some filament in the back. And I think in the files here, they do have quite a few things that we can print out. Not too even sure what to start off, but I guess we'll go with the benchy here. I saw a benchy in the beginning. There we go. Let's see if I click on that. Okay, so it does show us here some information. It's going to take only 8 minutes to print, which is, I guess, the maximum speed of this thing. All right, so we're flipped around to the back, and I'm going to go ahead and open up this full spool of white PLA that came with the printer. It says Bambu Labs up here. So yeah, very nice quality spools. So let's grab the end here. We're going to set it on the spool holder. And so our filament is going to go out this way and kind of naturally feed into the coupler here, which will guide it into the hot end. So I'm going to cut it on an angle so it can travel easier. And we're just going to go into this PTFE tubing. It's a little bit tight here, but not bad, to be honest. I wish the spool holder was a little bit lower. I think that would make it a little easier, but it's not a big deal at all. So we're just going to push it until it goes into the hot end, and that's how you're going to start it. And so now we're going to go to our extruder and we're going to click down to feed it in. So you might have to push your filament through or help it grab from the back. But yeah, I can feel that it grabbed it. So I'm just going to keep pushing it until it starts coming out the bottom. And there it goes. You guys can see some white coming out. Yeah, it looks like everything is good there. So I guess we can go ahead and start our benchy. I'm going to go back to the files and we'll click on benchy. And I'm going to click on print. So I'm guessing it's ready to go. And I think the bed leveling is also automatic. So we'll see how it goes. Let's go ahead and just click on print. So there it goes. Okay, so it looks like it might be cleaning the nozzle there in the back. Okay, so it's actually purging in that chute. So that's kind of cool. I guess you don't really have to purge it as it automatically do it. Looks like some fans came on. And there it goes. Double wiping itself. Looks like checking the bed. Okay, and it actually does tap there. So it taps the bed to check for level. He's doing something in the back there. So I'm not sure if this is a first time thing, as it's doing some kind of tests before it even prints the benchy here. So. Okay, so it's doing the out of bed leveling. Alright, so since this is probably our first time printing, it probably has to go through this procedure to put in all the parameters. And also it looks like input shaping too, because it keeps bouncing the bed around. Alright, so looks like it's preheating the nozzle again. And there it goes, look at that. So purged the line and now it's printing. Wow, that is so fast. Yeah, look at it go on that first layer. It's literally perfect. Wow, this thing is insane. That is incredible. That is real-time printing right there. That's just incredible. It's shaking my whole table. So yeah, this thing's on fire. It's going really quick. Yeah, as we're printing here, we can, looks like, choose to pause or stop the print. You can also control, looks like, other stuff too while it's printing. Very interesting. So you can adjust your temperatures here if you wanted to. Yeah, the amount of force that's going into the printing, it's making everything shake. But super exciting to see how this benchy will come out, even though we're printing in white. All right, so the benchy finished faster than I could even keep track of it. I just left for a second and it was done. So yeah, it was definitely quick. It doesn't say here how long it took. Not that I noticed, it just goes back to the main menu. But yeah, quite incredible. And I would say probably 15 minutes if I could guess. It did start off with calibrating itself and whatnot else. So the bed is actually still warm. What is it, 58? Yeah, let's go ahead and release it and I'll set it down here on the table so it can cool off faster. But what I want to do is I want to change the filament to black. So I think this little lever here you push and that cuts the filament so you can pull it out. So I want to try that out. So if I just push on it all the way down in there deep, we should be able just to roll it out. Okay, so I guess we'll have to unload in the menu, but before then we have to preheat it. I definitely wish they had a preheat button to be able to push it out here. Surely it does preheat really fast. And there we go. Okay, so I just had to push it once and it comes out. So getting to the spool holder in the back is not as fun as usual, but not a huge deal. And yeah, very good filament looks like. And we're gonna look at the benchy here in a second. And I wanna put some just generic filament, not Bambu branded, in black so we can see much better of how the layers go down. I'm just gonna push it all the way through to the hot end and I'll click on load once so it grabs it. Okay, so I can confirm it grabbed, and I think it'll purge itself once it starts printing the new print. So let's cut this benchy loose, and look at that, it just came right off, no issues. And we got the little purge here, also comes off. So yeah, it seems to stick very well and pops right off, at least here for PLA. And yeah, it's really easy to align the bed and set it in there as it has little stops in the back. So let's go ahead and print the benchy again, and this time in black. All right, so it's preheating. So it does purge enough for you not to worry about doing all that, as it will do it automatically. So it's still doing all the stuff it did in the beginning. I guess it needs to kind of calibrate each time it prints. Yeah, to be honest, it's kind of strange to see it do so much calibration before it starts. It seems like you would remember from the last one. And look at that, it's gonna have to do the out of bed leveling again. Or maybe it's just checking, I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like it has to do this every time. Very interesting. I wonder if you can bypass this so you don't have to waste so much time each print. But I guess, you know, depending on who you are, this might be quite valuable as it's going to be perfect every time. But yeah, as it's doing that, let's go ahead and look at this benchy here. So it is in white. It's going to be a little bit harder, or maybe quite a bit harder to see. So let's start here with the bottom. So the bottom looks great. There's practically no elephant foot or anything weird. So it's literally perfect. So the layers, if you can maybe see them, do sit very nicely. Most of them. There is a few lines here and there, like this one here a little bit, but that's a normal line that is on all benchies. Yeah, guys, if this was a 15-minute print, which I believe it was, it is incredible how good it is. And look at the overhangs and everything. So yeah, everything looks great, but in white you can't see very well, so this is why I'm excited to print it in black. Hopefully my filament there is good enough for this really fast printing, but it should be just normal PLA. I'm pretty excited to see how our next benchy is going to come out. Yeah, very weird how it has to do all this. Alright, there it goes, it's purging. And it starts. Also guys, it does look like the display dims down, kind of preserve itself. Very cool. All right, so the benchy's done and the printer actually cooled off and looks like turned itself off or put itself on standby. The screen is dimmed down. Their light is still on, but it's all completely quiet. And it's been about 30 minutes or so since it's finished. Yeah, let's see how easy it pops off. This is actually pretty much cold. And look at that. I don't know, I'm really liking this build platform. Seems to stick very well and then pop right off when it cools off. So again, not sure the timing on this thing. If I would guess, it's anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. So keeping that in mind, let's take a closer look at this thing. Right off the bat, I guess let's go to the bottom. We can see the finish there. Very nice. Again, perfect adhesion to the bed. Slight elephant foot there, but it's very minor. That's pretty much normal there. So now one thing we can notice right away, you guys can see, I don't know where to start here, from the back maybe. We have this really shiny, very even layers. Beautiful layers. And then for some reason we got matte. I don't know if the temperature changed or the speed changed. Something changed and it started printing more matte. And then it got more shiny as it went up, which is interesting. We do have a little bit of ringing there, but it's very slight. Basically no ghosting. Great cooling on the overhangs. So yeah guys, I don't know, it's quite incredible. So I guess the Bambu Lab P1P here delivers for sure on quality. And actually guys, looking at this white one, I don't know if you can maybe see or not, we were shinier on the bottom and then it got matte here also. It's just harder to see on white. But yeah, the benchy turned out amazing, which is impressive to say the least for the P1P here. All right, so for the next part, let's see if we can connect the printer to our phone. So let me go down here to account and I'll click on that, and we do have a barcode here. Maybe that'll lead us somewhere. I'm gonna use my camera and open it up, and it takes us to download an app, and it's called Bambu Handy. So here we are at the App Store. Let's install it, and it is 73 megabytes, almost 74. All right, so it's downloaded. Let's open it up. So we have to agree to privacy protection, allow notifications, and this is our main screen here. Let's go ahead and click on this plus button over here, and we'll have to create an account. So you have to put in your email and then send yourself a verification code. All right, and then we're gonna sign in. We need to allow to find nearby devices. Allow, and it's scanning. Looks like our printer that came up here on the bottom. So let's click on that. So we're gonna read and accept privacy policies and whatnot else. Confirm bind, pair and connect. Phone's asking. So lots of allows here. So now there's a code that comes up on the printer and on the phone that should match. And we're gonna click on pair. I guess we gotta click here also pair. Well, actually, I guess it didn't work. Let me try that again. All right, so it looks like we're at the next page and we have to log in into our Wi-Fi network. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Click on bind. All right, so it looks like we're logged in, and that took a couple tries. So I'm not sure if it's just maybe my network or what. Here it's asking us to confirm that we took out those bolts. So it's actually going through the setup process, which was probably pretty helpful when you first get started. Also on the printer here, it says we have new firmware available, and if we want to update, so I guess let's go ahead and do that. And there it goes, so we got 0 there. So let's go ahead and just see what's on the app here. Okay, so we do need to log in into the printer. So we'll go ahead and let that update and we'll try to log in. All right, looks like it's back and it says it's been successfully updated. Cool. So let's go ahead and go back to our QR code, wherever that, here we go. It says we're logged in. Yeah, it looks like it walks you through to even logging in the app. So, but we're already logged in, so I'm not sure how to get past this part. Let's see. Okay, so if we just go back, we can see that we already logged in and that's our device there. And there's also a video here, looks like, of some sorts. Okay, so that's actually our camera, which is right over here. See my hand there. So there's a little bit of a, well, quite a bit of a delay. Refresh rate is kind of low, but you know, you do get to see what's going on through the camera. So here we have some stats. Got the printer and then the nozzle temperature, the bed temperature, the speed. If we click on that, we get quite a few more options. Temperature and axes and also filament. You can load and unload here from the phone. Extruder controls are here too. So yeah, you can also turn the light on and off. You guys can see there in the background. Pretty cool. We'll leave that on. So down here we have devices and me. If we click on me, it's going to be your account here. We got the store. Looks like another link there. My history. There's nothing here. Support tickets, scan QR codes, settings. Let's see what's in the settings. So basically your profile settings, account security, and about the app. So yeah, pretty straightforward here, guys. And all of your controls are here. And if we click on the nozzle, we can type it in, or actually they got hot buttons here. That's cool. So if we click on 220, it's going to go straight to that. And on the bed, we can click 45 and done, and it's gonna start warming up. All right, cool. And it actually looks like if you just click on it, it also preheats on the number itself. So if we can click here in the corner on these little lines, we got machine assistant, and this is where your messages will be from the machine. Calibration, so you can do bed leveling and resonance calibration. You can start it from here. Print options, so you can turn on auto recovery from here. Record settings, so it's recording videos. I'm going to turn that off. Actually, unless it's making time lapses, so let's leave that on and see what it is. We got device name and the version, so pretty straightforward and cool. So I don't see where the print button is, which I thought would be around here somewhere. Maybe we got to click on one of these links. And that just takes us to the Bambu Lab website. I thought they would have something where you can print straight from the phone. And by the way, while clicking around, I realized if you click on the speed, you actually can choose there from ludicrous, sport, and standard. But yeah, this is where you can change it. And they also have silent there on the very bottom. All right, so apparently the Handy app here does not have a way to actually print from here, which is a little disappointing, to be honest. Like if you're gonna have an app, you know, this nice and have all these nice features, especially controlling the printer, you should be able to, you know, at least access your SD card from here and start a print. But yeah, for some reason they chose only to give you controls once you're printing, so you can kind of monitor it and whatnot else. So yeah, let's go ahead for the desktop and see if we can download the Bambu Labs slicer, where from there we can definitely send files to the printer. All right, so here we are at the website of Bambu Lab, and we're at the P1P page here, and yeah, it looks like they have a few accessories that you can actually download, like these panels, and print them out. So yeah, pretty cool. All right, so if we click here on software, we can see we got Bambu Studios. So we downloaded the Handy app. Now we need the Studio. So let's click download. So I am on Mac, so I'll be clicking on this button here. Save that. So it is download, but it says unconfirmed for some reason. I'm not sure why. Very, very strange. So far, a pretty rough start here for Bambu Lab. You can't even read the file that's for the Mac. I'm going to try that again, I guess. All right, still no luck. Just says unconfirmed, and then it gives me this warning. There's no application that can even open this file. All right, so there might be hope. So if you click here on you can check news and full releases, you'll get this tab to open. And then here I see a DMG file here for the latest 1.6.2 of the Studio Mac. So let's click on that. Hopefully save this to the computer. And now we have an actual DMG file that we can open. So yeah, if you're going to download, try doing it that way if you're on Mac. So now we're just going to drag this to the applications and it should install it. And sure enough, here it is. Let's go ahead and open it up. And this is what we see here. So looks like we got get started, North America, next. So these are the printers that are available to use in the slicer. Look at that, they even got Creality in here. So we are on the P1P. Here we have filament selection. So you can, I guess, select the kind of filament that you plan on using. I'm just gonna leave everything the way it is. And it looks like it's gonna install some kind of network plugin. So we'll just click on finish and see what happens. It says successful. We'll close that. It's a little bigger, but yeah, this is what we see here. So we're at home right now. Start a new project here. So we got prepared. This is going to be our slicer. Pretty cool. And it looks like it knows that we have the P1P. So that's good. We got preview and then device here. It says no printer. Let's see if we can find our printer here. The printer is connected. Not too sure here. Well, actually guys, I think we need to log in. That's the problem. So totally forgot to do that. So let's go ahead and log in. It's asking if we want to synchronize cloud data. Sure. And let's see if our device is connected now. There we go. Now we're connected and we have the camera here too. View it live. Look at that. Pretty awesome. So yeah, you just have to log in. So once you log in, everything is good and it finds the printer automatically and connects. So let's go ahead and click on new project and it's going to take us to prepare. So this is our build plate here. Yeah, it looks really nice. I love the layout. And we actually have buttons here virtually on the pad, if I can get there. Anyways, you can see them here. We got lock, X, so some basically options. So double click moves it around and single click does this. So All right, so let's throw a calibration cube in there and we'll zoom in here a bit. So we can see there's some information here on the side. Made it disappear, but it says calibration cube and the size of it and more interesting specs. But yeah, over here it looks like we have all of our settings to the left. So we got plate type, filament, bamboo basic, and here we have all the parameters. If we toggle this advanced, we're going to get a lot more options. So here we have quality, strength. So basically here you can adjust and fine tune. I don't know, the way it's printing, it seems to be perfect pretty much. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. So on the top here, we have quite a few things we can do. Rotate the model, lay on the face and whatnot else. So just slicer options, which could be pretty useful here. So yeah, nothing too new here, pretty much the same stuff. If you used the slicer before, I mostly use Cura, so this is pretty familiar. Here we have slice plate. So if we click on that, it's going to slice the model. It's going to give us a lot more other stats. So if we're happy with everything, we're going to click on print plate. And as we can see, we can send it here straight to the printer. And here you can choose the option of bed leveling. So yeah, they do have an option to turn that off. So if you don't want it to bed level, I'm going to leave it on for this one as we did an update. Also, you can choose to do a time lapse or not. I guess we'll leave that on also. So it's going to take 21 minutes and 5 seconds to print, which is pretty reasonable. Let's see if we unclick this. All right, so it doesn't change the time. I'm guessing this is the print on its own. Doesn't include bed leveling. In any case, let's click on send and we should be sending it to the printer. And there it goes. And now it automatically goes to the device where we can see with everything that's going on, and I can see the printer starting to move. Here we have all of the options that we can see and do with the printer as it's printing. So right now we're on status. We got media, update, and there's some other option here. All right, so the printer's moving and you guys can see the lag is quite laggy. I mean, it's not live for sure, but it's about every couple seconds it refreshes. So yeah, not, you know, the best refresh rate, but I guess still very useful as you can see what's going on. So we're preheating here to 250, and then it's gonna go through all of the usuals of purging and leveling and all that stuff, and then it'll start printing. So it looks like the 21 minutes was with everything. So we have 16 minutes left. It says it's 20% done. So, and over here we have an AMS little section, which we don't have. This is a multi-material system. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And it is starting to print. And it's pretty nice to see this live view of what's going on. So yeah, we can go around here and click on different things. And again, I don't see any place where we can access the SD card from here. So whatever projects you do, looks like you have to bring them in yourself from wherever you get them, and then you go from here. So all right, so it looks like we've started and we'll see how it goes. All right, so we're here and it's doing the out of bed leveling, and I went to the app here and you guys hopefully can see there that it is pulling up our project and it's 24% done and we got 15 minutes left. So yeah, that was the total time all combined together with whatever it's doing. So yeah, let's see if we can see the live view from here also. All right, so it's purging and now it's printing. So it does look like we can live view from both places, the computer and the phone at the same time. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, this looks like it's a 15-minute calibration cube. And we do have an icon there that says it is recording. We can pause, stop, or we have all of these other settings we can do while it's printing. So yeah, pretty intuitive and pretty cool how it all works together. And very nice if you want to monitor it while you're not around the printer. And I'm a little curious if we go here and go to sport and see what happens. So that bumped it up to 124%, and it did speed up a bit. Well, let's see if we can go to ludicrous here. And it went down to 11 minutes, by the way. So now we're on ludicrous, which went to 166%, and that's how fast that is. It's actually quite quick. And now it's down to 7 minutes. So yeah, very, very quick printer, guys. It is boogieing along. So I'm just gonna let it print out in ludicrous because I want to see what the quality will look like at its fastest speed here. All right, and just like that, it is finished. And on the app, it actually gives a notification that the print was successful. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So this is the full speed, which is probably about 7-8 minutes to print this. And you guys can see we do have a little bit of ringing there on the x-axis. And by the way, the axes don't really matter for this printer as it is a CoreXY, but still kind of interesting to see here on the flat walls. We got the Y. But what's impressive is how well the layers are sitting, and even the corners look great, which is quite impressive. So yeah, that was the X wall. A little more vibrations than the Y. But yeah, top looks great, and bottom is also good. Very nice. I think I'm gonna go ahead and print 3 more. So we have the ludicrous, and then we'll do the other speeds also. So on the app, if we click on me, we can go to my history, and we can see that our cube is now saved in the cloud since we sent it over. So I think we can print from here maybe, or not. Let's see. Oh yeah, we can. So you can print from the app of the same print or whatever other prints that you've sent here before. So let's click on print again. So it's pulling up the AMS, so which we don't have. And here we can also click time lapse and bed leveling. So I think we're gonna uncheck the bed leveling since we've done that just now. So let's just go straight to print now. And now in the settings, well actually we don't need to go there. On the speed, we'll change that to sport. So we'll have all the different speeds printed out and we'll kind of look at them all together. By the way, on the preview here, you can full screen it so you can see a little better of the model up closer. And actually there's stats also here of what's going on with the printer currently. So yeah, really nice polished app overall. I just wish it had a little bit more accessibility to bring prints in and slice them right from here. But yeah, other than that, excellent app as far as control goes. All right, and away it goes, and looks like officially it is 12 minutes for the Sport, which is 124%. So in silent mode, as you guys can see, we're at 50% of the speed, and it's gonna take like 30 minutes to print this cube, which is quite a long time. And the crazy part is it's not silent at all because the fan is super loud. So you guys can probably hear that through the microphone. Even though it is slower, I would say standard is definitely much better to print in than silent, as it's literally twice as fast as this. And the noise is arguably the same. So anyways, we're printing our last cube, and we'll check the 4 different ones after this one's done. All right, guys, so we got the 4 cubes. Surprisingly, there's not a huge difference between the 4, meaning as in like they all look really good. Here, looking at them all 4. So this is the fastest here, and then slower, slower, and slowest. So as you can see, they're quite similar, even though the speeds are quite different. So if I had to choose, I'd probably just print in standard as it is pretty quick. Or if I wanted something quicker, I would go to sport. Silent is not really worth it at all. It's super slow. And the fan is still loud, so it's not quiet. And the fastest one is good, but not great, which I would use more like in a pinch if I want something really quick. But then again, you know, if your model is not too big, it probably isn't worth it. So we've seen the ludicrous. Let's look at the sport. And you guys can see it's pretty good. About the same as the ludicrous, a little cleaner, but still much more presentable. Even though it's not a huge difference, it's just the grooves are a little deeper on the ludicrous. So the standard is great also. There's some vibrations, but not bad at all. Very clean overall. The wall here and the other wall. So yeah, very clean prints overall. And the tops look practically identical on all of them. So yeah, Bambu Lab's got this thing tuned out super good. And this is the quiet or silent mode. The slowest one, and even though it does seem to look a little better, it's just not worth the time unless you know you're looking at trying to get the best quality out of it. So I think I will stick to standard or sport on most of the prints. So probably larger prints I'll go for sport, and smaller prints I'll do standard. But yeah, that's the differences. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and print out more stuff. Also gonna try different filaments and spiralized mode, TPU. Also we'll do some ABS to see how well it does with hotter temperatures, as we don't have enclosures, but I think it'll still do just fine as long as they're not too large. And we did get this bottle of glue that we could use, and it says here for PLA, ABS, and PETG to help it stick to the build plate if we need to. So All right, and so these are all the prints that we printed with the P1P. If one thing I'm impressed about this thing is how well everything comes out. So we did use a few different materials, pretty much the same high speed, so everything was printed very quickly, and most impressively with high quality. So we've seen the benchies, we've seen the cubes here. I did print out a few files that were on the SD card. I wasn't too sure what they were as I couldn't preview them, but I printed quite a few, and that's all in white PLA that came with the printer. So let's go ahead and start with this kit here, which is bones of a dinosaur, and it all prints flat, and then you kind of build it. So I did have to use a little bit of super glue to kind of hold it together, but yeah, that was a fun print. And yeah, pretty cool little desktop model here that showcases what you can do with a 3D printer, and they do have this file included, which is pretty fun to print as your first prints. Yeah, everything went down really smooth. It's kind of hard to tell on white, but you guys can see it looks quite finished and a beautiful print. Another print that was on the SD card is this little puzzle, and it was also in pieces, but I had to glue them because I was not able to put it all together without it all falling apart. So I did leave a couple here loose. Let's see. There we go. So it comes apart. So I kind of glued the two pieces together and then put it into the one piece that it's supposed to be, but you should be able to put it all together in one piece, but it's quite complicated. It might take a while. I had to look it up to see how it goes together. So yeah, this is like a little puzzle piece here, and that was fun to print also. So this kit here actually comes with the printer. It says printed phone holder. It's actually to these three holders that hold your phone, and you got small, medium, and large, and the stickers in here in the bag are actually feet for the stand. And the stands are pretty cool. They just print like this, and then you kind of pop them open. It should break loose quite easy, and it hinges. And then there's a flap here in the front. Let's see, there we go. And now you can set your phone in here and be like a little phone holder, and there's 3 sizes, as you guys can see. So yeah, pretty cool, useful little thing that they actually include for you to get started with. Another kit we got is for a scraper, and this was also on the SD card, which prints out these 3 pieces. And this looks like the holder for it. And then we have the scraper itself with this piece here that looks like a couple screws go through and hold it down, which is in here. So let's see if we can put it together real quick. So it is an actual scraper that's very sharp, and it's literally going to sit in here, and these little nubs have to line up, and then this will go on top like this, and then 2 screws that are included will go through. The only thing you really need to keep in mind here is you got to be really careful, as this blade here is pretty sharp, not to cut yourself. And actually I think I'm putting this thing on the wrong way. I think the bolts go through the top here, and then this piece goes on the bottom. I believe that's correct. But in any case, something like this, and your finger goes here, and you can scrape like this so you can get down really low. So yeah, pretty cool little scraper that you can print yourself and build it, and they include all of the parts that you need. And actually there is a couple little magnets, looks like, inside, and one of them appears to go here in the handle, fits perfectly, and the other one is on the holder here, and I'm not sure exactly how they interact, but scraper does go into the holder and holds nice. But we got a magnet here and a magnet here, so I'm guessing so you can magnetize this as you're working to the frame, so it kind of holds itself. So that's kind of cool. Same thing for this thing, you can magnetize it. I guess something more flat. Yeah, pretty cool little kit, and yeah, pretty impressive that it comes with the printer. So we got a couple more that we printed out of the SD card, which is the storage organizing little box. Very nice. I love the design of it. Very useful to keep stuff in there, like tools and pens and whatnot else. Even this glue that came with it, which we didn't have to use, believe it or not, which is cool. So yeah, this little organizer here is also included. Here we have something quite interesting. It's like a big handle, and at first I didn't understand what it's for, but then I realized it's actually for the bed or the build platform. There's a couple little holes here, notches that line up here, and instead of putting the bed down on a flat table, you can just put it down on this and carry it around, which is kind of cool. So yeah, this also came with the printer, and there's a lot more files on there that I'm not sure exactly what they are, but I just printed a few here just to kind of see what is in there. But yeah, a lot of useful things. So we printed a few PLA prints. Let's check those out first. So here we have a print that's called Squirtle. It's like a turtle and a squirrel, I guess. And yeah, this thing printed out beautifully. Look at it. And this didn't take long at all, and the layers went down absolutely perfect. So yeah, very, very nice what this printer can do at high speeds. Excellent print there. Here we have an octopus, lots of details as we have all these tentacles and they all stuck to the bed, no problem at all, and then it popped right off. So yeah, the build plate's been doing an excellent job. Got a little support here. So I just printed everything on the standard profile that they included, which is very quick, and this is the results we get. And again, very incredible and looks great. And by the way, all the prints are 0.2 layer height, and to be honest, just incredible how well it does with PLA. So yeah, and this thing didn't take more than like an hour to print. So here we have a print that's called a gear, and I like to print these as you can see the accuracy of the printer, and this is a functional print, so all these pieces print separately, and it's a gear that should spin. So if I hold the middle, we should be able to spin it up, and there it goes. So there was something there to break through, and now it's perfect. And this is extremely good tolerances, guys. As in, like, they are a little loose, but that just shows that the printer is very good at tight tolerances because it's supposed to be this loose. Some printers get away with this by being a little tighter and it still works, but it's a little rough. But this thing is literally what it's supposed to be, and it's super smooth. Nothing weird going on here, and just perfect, honestly. And we can kind of see the layers here and around. There is a little bit of vibrations, but very minor. Overall, a great print. Yeah, you can count on the P1P to give you perfect accuracy. So we have a few larger prints we printed in PLA, like this Spider-Man statue bust thing. We do have supports, and they're already loose, honestly, just by moving around they broke loose. So yeah, the support system comes off super easy on the Bambu slicer, and you guys can see this thing looks quite incredible. Yeah, very nice adhesion. We can see all the details greatly. Very smooth all around. So yeah, quite incredible how quick it can print and also put the layers down. Again, you know, keep repeating myself, but very impressive. We do have some ringing here on the bottom. Not terrible, but it is there. There is a little bit of something here. I don't know if it had to do something with the supports or overhangs or what, but yeah, probably the supports. Other than that, it's pretty much a perfect print. The other one is here, and this one's quite large and also has lots of supports, which this one broke loose. And we also got a pretty large one here up front. Let's see how easy. Look at that. Super easy to remove the supports. But yeah, this is also a bust statue of some soldier guy from back in the day, or a warrior, I guess, or whatever this would be, Roman times probably. But yeah, let's start here from the bottom. We had something weird going on here. Not too sure. I think this was, okay, so I think the only thing we were stuck to is this piece, and then this was all in the air. I didn't realize that, but not a big deal. So yeah, you guys can see the layers are just beautiful. And by the way, this filament is really bad. It's a pretty trashy filament, and I'm impressed how well this printer did with it. You can kind of see the discoloration, and usually this filament is very gummy, but man, did it turn out super good on this print. I was very, very impressed with this one. So yeah, lots of details, and they're all there. And the layer lines are quite minimal considering, you know, the layer height and the speed we're printing. It is a little bit rough here on the very top, as you can see the layers, but not bad at all considering for what it is. Again, excellent print here. So let's talk about some ABS printing, because this is where I was pretty blown away with this printer also. And looking at this print here, it was printed completely in ABS. Yeah, I was impressed how well it stuck, nothing peeled from the plate, which was impressive. Yeah, just the details on this thing are incredible, and I was not expecting this good of a print from ABS. And this printer not being enclosed, I was thinking we're gonna have a bunch of trouble, but wow, super cool. And this roll of ABS has been sitting around for years. I don't use ABS too much, but man, I was so impressed how it all went down, and it just looks great. Lots of detail. Let's see if we can get closer to the face. So yeah, for FDM printing, it's quite incredible how much detail we got and how well everything went down. So yeah, we did preheat at 100 for the bed and printed, I think, 260 or 270 on the nozzle with pretty quick speeds. Here we have also ABS, and these are wheels for an RC car. You guys can see they printed like this, face down. So our finish looks like that. There's a support here that needs to come out. Let's see how easy that pops off. Probably need to get some cutters here. There we go. Yeah, overall really easy, and it looks really good. So yeah, for smaller items like these wheels here, ABS is not an issue at all for this printer. So if you're gonna print any kind of functional prints in ABS, so far in my experience, this printer does an excellent job. And to prove that, we have this super impressive print here, which is also printed in ABS. And this is an engine, and you guys can kind of see the pistons there. And this is to scale, model made by a person called Sunshine. And this is a super hard print to print on a normal printer. Any printers that can print this to scale are extremely good because number one, there's not much to stick to. And number two, there's so much detail here and it's completely functional. So yeah, we have the flywheel here. And if we spin it, we can see all the cylinders going up and down. And we also have a handle here to spin the whole thing. So yeah, if you can get this thing to work on your printer, you have a good printer. That's the bottom line. Because most printers that I tried this on, they almost all fail. I have to scale this up to like 150% in order for most of them to work. But this one did it at 100%. Now, it wasn't perfect as we lost a leg here on the bottom on this thinner part. But overall, it printed out and is functional, which is impressive. And on top of that, it's in ABS, which is the most impressive part. And so with that said, one thing that I wasn't so impressed about is TPU printing. And it's not the clogging or the direct drive extruder there. I think that part works perfect. It's the software and how it puts the layers down. Seems like it's not completely good. So I tried to print a few things in TPU and not much came out that was good. So these here are cable ties, and this is actually Bambu Lab branded TPU, which is the 95A, and you guys can see it's stringy around the holes there, stringy around the parts. It's still okay print, it's just stringy, and anything I try to print, it just doesn't do well. I mean, these are still functional, which is kind of cool. They're cable ties, so you can organize your cables. Very useful and also fun to print, especially in TPU. Not super impressed with the TPU printing. I wasn't able to really print much. I did get this spaceship here, which I normally print in TPU with spiralized mode on, which is just one layer and it's supposed to be very flexible. But you guys can see there's a lot of gaps here and I can't understand why. And it doesn't seem like it was the extruder. It seemed like it was software related. And it didn't seem like it had anything to do with the resume print function because that was off. And I tried turning it on and off. It didn't seem to do anything. So I'm not sure what's going on, but it seems to be software related because down here where you can see where it did a good job, it's literally perfect. But you know, as we go up, yeah, so a little issue with TPU, but you know, that could be just user error. So I didn't do much TPU after that as I kind of quit messing with it. But yeah, speaking spiralized mode, we do have this spaceship here, and this is the full height that this printer can print, which is 256. Well, actually I think it's a little less. Maybe it's like 250. There's a little buffer there that they need for the bed to go up and down. So in any case, it's about 250, and yeah, it's a good amount of volume up. And this is also in spiralized mode, so got a few layers on the bottom, and the bottom looks perfect as usual. And then it's just one layer all the way around, and hopefully you guys can see there, the layers are sitting really nice. Overall, there's nothing too weird. There's a little bit of vibrations, but they're very slight. Overall, it's a great clean print. Even here around the windows, there's no ghosting. Looks very good. And as we go up, we did very well until the very tip. It melted a bit, but still made the ball and finished. So overall, very good for spiralized printing. And not to forget this guy here. This is an astronaut printed in glow-in-the-dark PLA. So I don't know if I'll be able to show you, but he does glow in the dark there. And this also printed out pretty much perfect, as you guys can see. Great detail and perfect layer adhesion. And even down here we can see on the boots, that's all what's grabbing. It held on, no issues, and yeah, perfect print. So yeah, this printer is everything it's hyped up to be and extremely impressive of what it delivers. So one thing I haven't mentioned yet is that I have this little box in the back where I'm collecting the purges. And these are basically throwaway purges that goes between the filaments, or even the same filament. Every time it starts to print, it purges and then spits it out the back. And I got a box back there that it catches them all so they don't fly around the whole back and make a mess. So yeah, you might want to print out yourself a little box or something to keep in the back to catch all these. If we grab one here, that's like a color transition. You can see it went from blue to yellow there. Or here we have one that's from black to bronze. It does a great job purging and transitions filaments very well between two different colors on its own, so you don't have to worry about purging and all that. Now with that said, it is quite cumbersome and somewhat slow to do all that because you do have this really cool cutter here that cuts the filament, and it's always a straight cut, which is nice for next time use. So no more, you know, having to cut it yourself. Filament's always ready to go. But the amount of time it takes to click on the pad here to unload it and then load the new one and things like that, it does take a little bit, and feeding it from the back is, you know, a bit inconvenient, but that's, you know, the form factor of this printer and how it works. Now another thing that's, maybe a little bit of a negative is how slow it is to start, because if you're going to do bed leveling and all that, it doesn't go through all its paces and does whatever it's got to do before it actually starts printing. So I wish that part was a little faster, but hey, if that's what it takes to get a perfect print every time, that's a good compromise, as it seems to be doing a great job whatever it's doing producing these prints. But keep in mind, starting prints, especially if you're also going to use wirelessly, sending them if they're big files, is going to take a while by the time it downloads them, unpacks them, and reads them, and then starts the process. So another thing I wish is we had a little better settings here on top, which could technically be software updated. I think if you want all the nice easy access to everything, you'd have to get the X1 Carbon with the large screen, but I wish the preheating was a little better here. But if you're gonna do it wirelessly through your computer or even your phone, I guess it's not that big of a deal. But still, when you have to change the filament, you do need to preheat it. So yeah, wish it was a little bit easier to do the things that you do often. The app that comes with the Bambu Lab is also pretty good, but again, wish it had a little more functionality from your phone. But it's still nice that you can log in and see and stop or even start a print that you already have in the cloud. So yeah, overall, this is an excellent printer, and there's not much negatives compared to positives for sure. We get a very large build volume for its size, just 256 by 256 by 256 cube. We get ultra super high speed printing with CoreXY configuration and carbon rods. Very cool. The head itself with the hot end and the way it's built is quite incredible, and it's just a masterpiece of a work. Also, not to mention that we can go all the way to 300, the bed to 100C, with the nozzle being stainless steel. So there's very many different materials you can use on this printer. Also on the newer models, we do get a camera here and a light bar. You guys can see that. And I didn't really figure out how to use the time lapses, but it's nice to have the camera, as that's quite valuable for the phone app where you can check up on your prints while you're not around. And the P1P here is pretty advanced with all of its calibrations, like the input shaper vibration calibrations, and out of bed leveling was no issue whatsoever. Perfect layer every time throughout the whole bed. The only thing this thing is really missing from the X1 Carbon is the LiDAR, which would be pretty awesome to have, but that's something exclusively for the X1. We obviously have Wi-Fi compatibility. A little slow, as you guys saw. The real time on the camera is not live. It's about half a second to a second or so, sometimes more depending on the connection. And the files do transfer a little slow, but we do have Wi-Fi, which is great because it gives us the option to control this printer wirelessly. But most of all, I think this package here of the P1P is a great printer for practically anyone. So if you're just getting started with 3D printing, you could get this thing and still be able to, get it running really quickly, as there is almost no assembly or anything figured out. It kind of does everything for you, which is great. But at the same time, it's a very advanced piece of hardware that, even an expert would appreciate. And the attention to build quality on this thing is incredible. So yeah, guys, as you can see, we have entered a new era of high-speed printing, and Bambu Lab leads the way at this point, and we see new printers coming out from our more legacy brands that are trying to catch up. So if you want the best of what 3D printing has to offer at this point in time, the P1P is a great value. If you can splurge for the X1, you should, because you get everything there, including the enclosure, nice large touchscreen, and the LiDAR to make every layer even more perfect, and also extrusion is calculated with the LiDAR of how much the multiplier should be. So yeah, there's even more advanced features, but if you're on a budget, the P1P here does everything so well, and it's quite compelling. It's not cheap for sure, but for what you get, it's a very highly engineered and thought through machine. So if you are interested in the P1P, check out the links in the description. And if you did enjoy this video, then hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, check out my playlist. There's quite a few reviews there. I'm sure you'll find something interesting. And also stay tuned for more 3D printing videos, as I do have another competitor to this printer coming up soon. And as always, guys, thanks for watching these videos. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.